Prime Minister Edi Rama has chosen to explain to skeptics about the opening of Albania's negotiations with the EU, while stating that Albanian optimism for integration is higher than that of Zoran Zaev. President Ilir Meta explains his concerns over visa resettlements for Albania and requests institutions to urgently take concrete measures to avoid any risk. 3 municipalities around the country have been involved in clashes with the police regarding the CAZs, while Shkodër's Mayor Voltana Ademi describes actions by police as being based on Rama's political orders. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, the 18th of June, 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to RTV Ora's English edition. My name is Oliver, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. We begin tonight with Prime Minister Edi Rama, who has once again explained to the skeptics in the European Union why the integration process is so important for Albania. Edi Rama from the Western Balkans Economic Forum in London explained to leaders of the region that the Albanian people would love the EU even more than the Union countries themselves, stating, "The integration process for us is an institutional process to connect to the future. As for Albanians, it is a guarantee that the country needs to have confidence in the institutions. We will move forward despite the hypocrisy and double standards of the EU countries. Albanian optimism is higher than that of Zoran Zaev. The militants in Albania are more European than the Marine Le Pen voters in France." Moreover, Rama urged foreign investors not to be influenced by opposition protests, as Albania remains a safe country. He stated, "Protests can be considered part of our tour package, as they eventually transition into festivities by 8 o'clock at night. So if you want to participate in the protest, you can book your tour package. The protests are not everywhere, just along the main boulevard where they throw Molotov cocktails. Come to Albania and invest." But protests have also followed the Prime Minister to London. The branch of the Democratic Party in the British capital, supported by Albanians who live and work there, followed the Prime Minister with banners in their hands while shouting, "Rama must go." Next up tonight, the President of the Republic, Ilir Meta, has expressed concerns about the risk of reestablishing the Schengen visa regime for Albania. In a statement, the head of the Albanian state stated that he has closely followed the attitudes and discussions that are being held regarding the progress of the European integration process of Albania into the European Union. All the attention has focused on a positive decision to open up Albania's EU membership negotiations, the president notes, with deep concern, risk of reestablishing the Schengen visa regime for Albania. Following the submission of the request by the Netherlands for the suspension of visas to the European Commission, yesterday's announcement from the European Commissioner for Migration and Home Affairs, Dimitris Avramopoulos, warned of taking action against Albania alongside Venezuela and Colombia. "It is a red flag for all of us," said President Meta in a statement. The president calls upon all responsible state institutions to pursue this issue that is considered sensitive for all Albanian citizens. Visa-free movement has been one of the biggest achievements with a direct impact on Albanians as the people who have suffered from the greatest and longest isolation in the region. We all remember the long queues in front of the embassy doors, with desperate families looking for a chance to meet their children, relatives, or the ability to study and travel abroad. We must urgently take all the necessary measures by not neglecting or bypassing any responsibility that would damage and overturn this acquired freedom for Albanians, said President Meta. Clashes in the commissions of electoral administrative zones culminated in Tropoja. Police failed to halt citizens from entering into the CEAZ number 9 on the city's museum premises. The decree issued by President Ilir Meta on the annulment of the elections has also sparked clashes in the Palace of Culture in Bayram Suri. A group of people entered the CEAZ number 9 building and proceeded to remove election materials and discarding them into the streets. Municipal police officers and citizens have broken through doors and windows of the sports palace where the CAZ was set up containing the election materials. One policeman was reportedly injured from broken glass, while order forces surrounding the premises and arresting 4 individuals. Other arrests are still expected. The same clash between state and municipal police continued outside the CEAZ number 2 building in Shkodër. The cause of clashes was sparked by several attempts to enter the premises with force by members of the Commission of Electoral Administrative Zones. A representative of the Socialist Party and even state police Mayor Voltana Ademi stated that the Commission of Electoral Administration Zones was attempted to be usurped by Rama militants, stating, "Supported by the state police, unidentified individuals have attempted to break the door of the sports palace but did not succeed after the intervention of municipal police. For this serious violation of local autonomy by the government of RTV Ora, I have informed the institutions and additional international bodies," said Ademi in a statement. Ademi also denounced yesterday's 2 unidentified individuals with police orders who entered into the 2 CEAZs of the city. Last night, in the two CEAZs, unidentified individuals entered the building with police orders. They do not have authorization to do that. So my request is that they must distance themselves from any kind of violence and avoid any other attempt to violate state institutions. I ask everyone to remain calm, said Ademi. Ademi said there are no written orders for state police actions, but they act on Rama's criminal orders, stating, "We are on duty and no one can dare to usurp or violate the employees of public institutions." I had a communication with the police director where I also asked for information regarding the acts they carried out. So far, there are still no orders. They also act in line with the criminal orders of the Prime Minister of Albania, Ademi said. Police should act according to the law. Furthermore, the mayor of Lej, Fran Frokai, has sent a request to the CEAZ for the release of the premises of the Beslidia school. The Commission of Economy and Finance has paved the way for the approval of the Milat Baldren and Oricum Ducat highways. Deputy Minister of Infrastructure Artan Skreli explained that the high cost of the road is due to the parameters and construction of bridges, tunnels, and overpasses. The investment in both roads amounts to over 280 million euros. The head of the Economic Commission, Arben Ahmetai, said the construction of concession roads is a necessity, as the state budget has no financial capacity to build it. These 2 projects are expected to go to Parliament for voting during Thursday's session. The project has already received votes against it by the new parliamentary opposition. Socialists, with the support of new MPs from the Democratic Party list and the Socialist Movement for Integration, will begin reviewing the request for setting up an investigative commission against President Ilir Meta, which was signed by 55 MPs. Arguing that the head of state has received citizens and parliamentary attributes, the majority demands not to waste any time in initiating the procedures for his dismissal. Based on Article 112 of the Rules of the Assembly, the Law Commission has a deadline of 15 days after receiving the request to present to the Assembly the report and proposal for the establishment of the investigative commission. In reviewing the initiative, the President will have the right to give his arguments for the cancellation of the elections. If the MPs of the Law Commission vote against the initiative, the dismissal procedure is terminated, but most likely the majority is convinced to continue the process in the parliamentary session. Within 2 days after voting in the session, the investigative commission will then set up and will call the head of state into a hearing. At the conclusion of the investigation, the Commission must submit to the Assembly a report with justifications and reasons for the dismissal. In this case, a special hearing will be required without any debate, where the President has the right to submit his arguments. The Socialist Party needs 94 votes to approve the request on the dismissal of President Meta. Despite the will of the Socialist Party to go to the end of the proceedings, the last word must be given by the Constitutional Court, which is still out of function as there are only 1 out of 6 members that are needed to conduct a hearing. And finally tonight, the European Council is expected to adopt critical conclusions on the progress of reforms in Kosovo. Based on the preliminary documents provided by the media in Pristina, it is reported that the member countries have again postponed the decision for visa liberalization. Many of the approved points by the Council were not without their fair share of criticism towards the government of Kosovo by requesting a new dynamic of reforms, a fight against corruption, extremism, and an informal economy addressing the deficiencies in the electoral code. Particular emphasis was given to the normalization of relations with Serbia, where once again it was reiterated the unshakable attitude towards the abolition of tariffs. Pristina should urgently revoke tariffs on Serbian and Bosnian imports, as well as avoid any measures that can be perceived as a provocation. It is essential that the dialogue between the countries is restored as soon as possible through an obligatory bilateral agreement so that Kosovo and Serbia can advance in their European path, said EU ministers. Other criticisms have been reserved for practices including nepotism and the assignment of former war criminals to high governmental positions. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of RTV Ora, thank you and have a very good night.